Hello everyone, it's nice to be with you for this presentation. Let me introduce myself to you. I am Mr. Mahmoud Ramadan Taha and I am going to be your science teacher for our lesson today, which is about light and triangular prism. In this lesson, we are going to learn about the light. At the end of this lesson, we will do a recap to remind you of the main points and the key terms. These are the main points and key terms of this lesson. First, the visible spectrum. Second, sources of light. Third, properties of light. And properties of light is divided into A. Traveling of light in straight lines. B. Transmitting of light through different materials. C. Light reflection. D. Light refraction. E. Light separation, splitting of light. We will not cover all the properties of light in detail, but we will focus on number P and E. Before starting, we are going to answer these simple questions. First, what is the most important benefit of light? Of course, the most important benefit of light is that it allows us to see the objects around us. Second question, how can we see the objects in the presence of light? Of course, the light falls on the objects which reflect light to our eyes, so that we can see the objects. Now, let's start with the first point in this lesson, which is the visible spectrum. The light is a form of energy, and there are many forms of energy, like sound energy, electric energy, magnetic energy, and light energy. Therefore, light is one of the forms of energy. Do you think that all these forms of energy can be seen? The light energy is the only form of energy that can be seen. So, any light around you that you can see is called a visible spectrum. So, let's define the visible spectrum. The visible spectrum, it's the light energy that can be seen. It's the light energy that can be seen. Now, we must study sources of light and properties of light. So, let's move on to the second point in our lesson, which is sources of light. Sources of light. First, the sun. It's the main source of light on the earth. It's the main source of light on the earth. Second, candles. We all know candles, and you can recognize them from this photo. Third, kerosene lamps. Not all of us know this source of light because it's an old device, but you can also recognize it from this photo. Fourth, electric lamps. And it's used as a source of light in many places such as homes and schools, and it has many types and shapes. Finally, you must pay attention to this important note. The moon is not considered as a source of light, as it reflects the sunlight that falls on its surface. Now, wake up and let's do a fast recap. At first, we have talked about the visible spectrum, and we have said that the visible spectrum is the light energy that can be seen. Then, we have talked about sources of light, and we have said that the sun is the most important source of light. Now, we have some easy questions to answer. Complete the following statements. First, the light rays that can be seen are called dots. Second, dots is the main source of light on the earth. 3. The dots is not considered as a source of light. Now let's move on to the third point in our lesson, which is properties of light. We have 5 properties which are first, travel of light in straight lines. Second, transmission of light through different materials. Third, light reflection. Fourth, light refraction. Fifth, light separation, splitting of light. Now, let us start with the first property, which is traveling of light in straight lines. Light travels in straight lines, and as a result of that, some phenomena happen as first, formation of image through narrow holes. Second, formation of shadow. Formation of image through narrow holes. The idea of photographic camera is based on this phenomenon. And as you can see in the opposite figure, how can light move in straight lines through these narrow holes until it reaches our eyes? Formation of shadow. When you darken the room and put your hand between a wall and a torch, a darkened area that is called shadows formed on the wall, and that is an evidence that light travels in straight lines. Now wake up and let's move to the second property, which is transmission of light through different materials. Light transmits through different materials with variable degrees. Materials can be classified according to their ability to transmit light into transparent materials. They are the materials that allow most of light to pass through and objects can be seen clearly through them. For example, clear glass. Semi-transparent materials. They are the materials that allow some light to pass through, and objects can be seen through them less clearly than the transparent one. For example, frosted glass. Opaque materials. They are the materials that don't allow light to pass through, and objects can't be seen through them. For example, wood. Here we have a photo that shows the difference between 3 types of materials. As we can see, the boy on the left is holding a transparent material. The girl next to him is holding a semi-transparent material, and the boy on the right is holding an opaque material. Now, let's move to the third property, which is light reflection. We will only cover the definition of it. So, the light reflection is the bouncing or returning back of light rays when light falls on a reflecting surface. Now, let's move to the fourth property, which is light refraction. We will only cover the definition of it. So, the light refraction is a change in the direction of light rays when light passes through the separating surface between 2 different transparent media due to the change in the light speed. Here we have a figure showing the property of light refraction. Now wake up and let's move to the final property and the final point in our lesson today, which is the light separation, splitting of light. White light consists of 7 spectrum colors. We can separate white light into 7 colors by using a transparent glass prism. Sunlight is an excellent example of white light. We have an activity to prove that the white light consists of 7 spectrum colors. In this activity, we have only one step, which is face a transparent glass prism to the sunlight and move it until you receive the sunlight coming from it on a white paper. Observation: 7 spectrum colors are formed on the white paper. Conclusion: sunlight or white light is formed of 7 spectrum colors, which are red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, and violet. Here we have a photo that shows the activity that we have explained. As we can see here, we have a source of white light, which is an electric lamp. Then the glass prism has analyzed the white light into 7 colors, which are appeared clearly on the white chart. Now wake up, let's do a first recap. At first, we have talked about the visible spectrum, and we have said that the visible spectrum is the light energy that can be seen. Then we have talked about sources of light, and we have said that the sun is the most important source of light. After that, we have talked about the properties of light, and the first property was traveling of light in straight lines. Then we have talked about transmitting of light through different materials, such as transparent, semi-transparent, and opaque materials. Then we have covered the definition of light reflection and light refraction. Finally, we have talked about light separation, and we have talked about the glass prism, which can analyze the white light into 7 spectrum colors. Finally, you have an assignment to do, which is solving the exercise on this lesson, and I will check your answers next class. That's all we have for our lesson today. Thank you all. Bye for now.